Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com back for another Pittsburgh Steelers breakdown and analysis. I want to talk about everyone's fan favorite, Ryan Switzer. And while like him or not, he is very likely, I would say, basically a lock to make the Pittsburgh Steelers 2020 roster. And there's three main reasons why I think you're going to hear, or really not hear his name this upcoming Saturday when the Steelers cut their roster from 80 to 53, meaning that Switzer will make the 53 man roster. And the three reasons really is one, lack of competition, two, his own versatility, and three, his relationship with Ben Roethlisberger. So to go through those points one by one, at the top, again, lack of competition. The Steelers are going to keep at least five receivers. Probably going to keep six, not guaranteed, but more likely than not, as we sit here today. And Switzer is definitely going to be part of that first five. You have your four locks, obviously: Juju, James Washington, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. Those four are locked in. And then I think Ryan Switzer really joins them as that fifth guy because who else is he going to lose that spot to? Could it be Ray McLeod, who's gotten some buzz in camp? Potentially, but I think he's more likely to go to the practice squad. And then behind him, you have Deion Kane and Darbo and DeAndre Tompkins and guys like that. But I just don't see, a veteran like Switzer in a climate where if you're a lot of young guys, a lot of new faces, even Deion Kane, a second year guy, came in halfway through last season, just very unlikely to push a veteran guy like Switzer off the roster, just given the climate we're in right now and all those missed opportunities and reps for some of those young receivers to really step up and try to take that spot from Ryan Switzer. So I think just on that alone, though that's not the entire reason, but a big part of it, just Switzer being that veteran guy, that number five receiver for this team, makes it very likely that he's not going to get cut on Saturday. Two is his versatility. And obviously, we're not talking about top tier elite talent here. And again, you can disagree with whether or not you want to see Switzer on the roster. I imagine most of you will disagree with him likely being included as part of the Steelers roster. But the versatility is a plus. And we're talking about back end of the roster players, back end of the depth chart players like he'll be as that fifth wide receiver. He can wear a lot of hats. Maybe he doesn't do it well, and I would agree with you. He doesn't do anything particularly well, but he can play the slot. He can play the X receiver. He can return kicks. He can return punts. I think he's even the emergency quarterback in some, dire situations. So there's a lot of hats he can wear. There's versatility there, and that's going to be important. When you're talking about building the back end of your roster, just someone who can step into a role if there's an injury, and especially in the COVID climate right now, someone tests positive or something happens right before a game, and you have to find someone else to fill in at the last second. Switzer can do that. And really, you talk about backup slot. What other really backup slot options are there on the team right now? You got Juju is obviously your starter in the slot. Deontay Johnson did some of it in college, but he's been trained as the X receiver. And other than that, of guys who are going to make the roster, there really isn't anybody. If you were to lose Juju, you're probably doing something like maybe Claypool, who did do some of that. But again, given the lack of a spring and a preseason, there's less time to start cross training Claypool for different positions. He's probably getting more work as the Z receiver right now, which is his best position. So there's less time to work him into the slot because he's just trying to learn that one spot for right now. So you would probably have to go to a tight end like an Ebron or a Vance McDonald if you lost Juju for whatever reason, or if he's playing on the outside and you want someone else in the slot instead. So Switzer's going to bring value in that. Same with the X receiver spot. Not a lot of true backup X receivers. It's probably going to be Juju behind Deontay Johnson, but Switzer has played the X before, and so that's going to be valuable. And then kick punt return. Not a lot of guys can do kicks and punts. A lot of guys can do just kicks. A lot of guys can do just punts. Not many guys can do both. And again, I get it. Switzer is not great at either of those things. I think he's a better punt returner than he is kick returner, but clearly the numbers and the production have not been there. And I don't even know for sure if Switzer's going to start on either unit. I think Deontay Johnson will be the starting punt returner, but if they're concerned about injury and risk with him, or if he's unavailable for whatever reason, he's always nicked up, it seems, then Switzer's probably going to be your guy. And then in the kick return game, it could be Anthony McFarland. It could be Kareth White, should he make the roster, but Switzer at least has that ability, should again there be an injury or some other reason where you have to play Switzer at a moment's notice. So just ability to wear a lot of hats, that's pretty important. And I think that's going to bring a lot of value for Switzer to make the team. And then finally, it's just simply a good relationship with Ben Roethlisberger. I talked to former Steelers receiver DeMarcus Ayers over the summer, and he talked about just how critical it was to have that rapport. Basically, he said, if Ben's in your corner, the team's in your corner. The coaching staff's in your corner because Ben does have a lot of sway, a lot of influence, predictably so. in that room. And when it comes to some of those final decisions, when it comes to the receiver group and who's going to make the team or not. And of course, we all know the relationship between Ben and Switzer is very strong. We've seen that on and off the field. So it's just hard to see in a situation like this where Ben's coming back. There's a lot of newness for him, throwing to new guys like rookie Chase Claypool, Eric Ebron, effectively a rookie to him at least with Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson caught just 7 passes in training camp, preseason, regular season combined from Ben last season before his season-ending shoulder elbow surgery, I should say. So there's a lot of newness in that room, and I think and James Washington too. I mean, Washington barely really caught passes from Ben Washington's rookie year because he struggled so much. And again, when Washington kind of broke out last year to some extent, Ben was largely unavailable. So to have a veteran guy like Switzer that has good chemistry. They know each other well. There's a rapport there, like it or not. And again, I imagine most people will not like the answer here, not like the title of this video, but that does matter when it comes to those final couple spots on the roster. So I think that that's what it comes down to for Switzer is having that good relationship, having Ben in his corner. If Ben vouches for you, then the team's likely to keep you again. When you couple that with the lack of competition and Switzer being versatile and being able to wear a bunch of different hats, I think that Switzer's odds of making the team are incredibly high. And he's back from that foot injury too. That was a foot injury he suffered in training camp, but he missed I think a day and is back at practice and fully back at practice at that. So that's not a concern either. So I know that that's gonna anger and upset a lot of fans hearing what I'm saying, and a lot of fans will disagree and say the Switch is terrible. And listen, this is not an all-star guy, and I'm not saying that I would even personally do that. Though I think ultimately I would probably keep Switzer if I was running the Steelers hypothetically. I think whenever Saturday comes and 4 o'clock, and the Steelers have to cut down their roster from 80 to 53, Ryan Switzer's name will not be part of that cut down list. He will make the team, hopefully in a small, reduced capacity. If he has to play a lot this year, probably means injury happened, something went wrong. That's not a good sign, but very strongly believe Ryan Switzer will be part of the Pittsburgh Steelers Week 1 roster when they travel to the New York Giants on Monday night. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below where you agree or disagree. Again, I strongly suspect many of you will disagree. Tell me your thoughts below and who you think should make the team over him. If you had to lay out your receiver depth chart, who would you take over Ryan Switzer if that's the direction that you would go? And as always, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.